Menus, menus, menus. They're everywhere. So even though it's not the most fun part when designing a game, it's important to get it just right. Menus are a hard thing to get right though. They seem really simple and, well, they are, but it's really difficult to design one so it's intuitive and fun, and the player isn't put off from the game at first glance. After all, it's the first thing a new player sees after opening your game for the first time. But you also gotta make it unintrusive so they're not bombarded with options right off the bat. So, whoever's gonna design the UI of the game's got a bit of a tricky choice here. Go with a fun, exciting, bouncy menu with tons of satisfying buttons, sliders, and clicky noises, or a function over form menu with a couple of tabs and the big red play button. My name's Mark Brown and welcome to wrong intro. What's up, my name's Azir, and in today's DevBits, I'm gonna talk to you about main menus. Before getting to actually designing the menu for my game Microbits, I looked up a bunch of videos on good menu design to get a solid idea of what I was doing. Namely, the one I took the most from was Masahiro Sakurai's, where Mr. Smash himself talks about how to design one. He breaks menu design into two distinct factors, clarity and style. He basically says that a clear menu is not necessarily a good one and vice versa. A good menu is a balance of the two, with a heavier focus on whichever one the game requires. He uses Persona 5 as an example, where the menus are extremely stylized, but kinda unclear. He says that the menus are good anyways, since the heavy style is a big part of what makes the game special and gives it something different. If Persona's menus were just lists of options in Arial 12, even though it would be pretty readable, well, it wouldn't be Persona. For example, in Microbits, I leaned more into a fun and bold hand-drawn art style with bouncy animations and transitions. But I had to be careful to balance this with functionality, keeping the transitions clean and readable so the menu was actually usable despite all the movement. However, let's just say a designer decides what balance they want to implement in their game. They still have to take some other things into consideration. First of all, they have to make sure that the stylization or lack thereof that they decide to put into the menus is consistent with the style of the game. For example, imagine booting up Super Mario Wonder and seeing a brooding, dark and moody title screen. These weird inconsistencies between menus and the actual game can cause confusion or even an unsettling feeling. This is useful in games that are looking for that, like Doki Doki. But unless purposefully aiming for that aesthetic, it should be avoided. Lastly, you've got to know the main goals the player is going to have when interacting with the menus. What I mean by this is basically what they're going to try to do when poking around, and whether it's getting into the game, moving around some settings, or whatever else, you've got to make it as intuitive and simple as you possibly can. One of the most important concepts in game design is that the player's not always going to do what you're thinking. So most of the time, you've got to push them in the right direction with color-coded buttons, or whatever else you can think of. Give the menu to a couple of friends or testers, get a lot of player feedback, and you can get to a pretty great menu in no time. That's gonna be all for this video. Thanks so much for listening, and feel free to drop whatever morsel of info or opinion you've got into the comments. Bye!